Peddi is a prime example of what happens when a film isn't exactly sure what it wants to be. Is it a village pride story? Is it a sports drama or a mass masala commercial Telugu entertainer? Unfortunately for this film, it ends up becoming a mismatch of all the three. Let's talk about it beyond the reel. Let's begin with what Peddi delivers on the screen. Written and directed by Buchi Babu Sana, the director attempts to juggle multiple ideas throughout the film. On one hand, the story wants to establish an identity for the protagonist and his villagers. On the other hand, it functions as a larger-than-life sports drama mixed with mass commercial elements. The problem with attempting all this at once is that the film struggles to establish its own identity. The screenplay towards the end loses its momentum. The Paralympics portion feels rushed, underdeveloped, while the climactic speech comes across more like a fever dream than something rooted in reality. Instead of feeling inspirational, it often feels detached from reality. Charan has clearly given all to this role, and that effort is visible throughout the movie. Unfortunately, it is the screenplay and the direction and the story which he selected that lets him down. Janhvi Kapoor's character initially is shown as if she would play an important role in the film. However, as the story progresses, she feels increasingly sidelined and contributes very little to the movie's central drama. Shiva Rajkumar as Gaur Naidu, the wrestling coach, also plays his role perfectly as usual. There is nothing much of consequence, or there is nothing much to say about his role as such. Divyendu Sharma delivers an underwhelming performance as Buchi. The character is left after the initial portions of the film. He is an antagonist in one sense, but not the final antagonist. Jagapathi Babu as Apalasuri is arguably the most impactful performance after Charan in this movie. Usually he plays the role of an antagonist, but here he plays the role of the spark to what Peddi would eventually try to achieve through the film. Ravi Kishan plays the role of the secondary antagonist. He's serviceable at best, there's nothing to say, there's no major impact left on the screen by his performance. He's good at what he does, and that's all there is to it. Now let's talk about the visuals and VFX. The visuals and VFX considerably needed more work. It practically is very evident that the film, many of the scenes, especially the train scenes, are shot on a green screen. Maybe they could have put much more effort when they are spending so much of the budget into a movie to focus more on the VFX. My personal advice would be to shoot it on actual location. Obviously that doesn't happen due to budget constraints or other reasons. Now the one saving grace through this movie is A.R. Rahman's music. While not every song or background score is perfect, but the soundtrack does remain one of the movie's stronger aspects. Overall, the on-screen presentation never reaches the level expected from a 3-hour epic, and that becomes one of the film's biggest setbacks. Peddi wants to be inspirational. At the same time, it tries to satisfy a larger commercial movie-loving audience. Now, this is where the film goes wrong. You have to pick your genre. When you're mixing everything up, it becomes neither here nor there. Instead of committing fully to one direction, it constantly shifts between genres and tones, and that too haphazardly, Suddenly you're focusing on a commercial side of the movie, then you're moving on to that village identity pride story as I mentioned before, and suddenly you're switching to sports, and this is something which is very incoherent, and that doesn't help the film at all. At its core, the film is about a man trying to gain an identity not just for himself but also for his village, for his unnamed village and its people through sporting achievements, as that would signify dignity and recognition that they are also a part of this great nation, which they always feel separated from. On paper, this idea feels very compelling, a very emotional story, but it is the execution where the film fails, or the film never realizes its full potential. More focus on the sporting journey could have made the emotional payoff much stronger. Now, what stays after the credits roll? For this movie, to say the least, is ironically confusion. Finally, the film never clearly establishes its ultimate purpose. As a sports drama, it doesn't inspire viewers to take up cross athletics because it portrays its protagonist less as a real athlete and more like a superhero. Had the character been more firmly grounded in reality, the story might have connected better. Now, one aspect where the movie genuinely deserves criticism is the way it treats its female lead. The protagonist is shown engaging in behaviors such as ogling, stalking, and making derogatory comments about the female lead. Yet these actions are largely brushed aside by the narrative. Ironically, when a very similar act is carried out by the antagonist, it is treated as something very wrong. This creates a troubling double standards. When your hero does it, is it good? Is it okay just because the female lead also likes the male lead? Do you brush such acts away? The sexual assault sequence, yes, it is sexual assault. Let us say it as it is. The assault sequence involving the protagonist is treated with a surprising lack of seriousness, while similar behavior from villains is framed as unacceptable. The inconsistency is very difficult to ignore. What makes it more disappointing is the way that the camera angle prioritizes the heroine's body rather than her face, reducing her presence in the story even much further. Now, do films need perfect characters? Perfect protagonists? No, obviously not. But when a character indulges in morally unacceptable behavior, morally questionable ways, the narrative should acknowledge it. When major actors play characters which the audience would idolize, accountability within the narrative is very much required. The younger generation who would be inspired by the so-called superheroic cross athlete, what will they be learning? That it is acceptable to ogle at the woman whom you like and pass on rude comments such as these? Now, what does this do? Such problematic behavior becomes normalized not only within the story itself but outside the story also. The real would often match with what happens in the real world. On the Beyond the Reel After Impact scale, Peddi scores a 2.5 out of 5. That is, it fades fast. There's effort here, there's ambition. It leaves you wanting more. If you enjoy film conversations such as these, subscribe to Beyond the Reel. Also leave a like, share our video, and do let me know your thoughts and comments in the comment section down below. I'll see you after the next watch.